Hey, what is up, team? Brandon Rahi here from Go Headquarters, bringing you today's full breakdown. This is going to be a fun one. This is probably one of my favorite scenarios for this week anyway. The workouts ahead of you include dumbbell snatch and single arm dumbbell overhead squat, so I'm pumped on that. And then, of course, I've got my trusty jump rope here. That means double unders. So let's get you guys warmed up for the action. We're going to kick things off today with a 5-minute running clock of jump rope. So all I'm looking for, guys, on your jump rope today is single unders for the warm up. We've got double unders coming later. We don't need to burn out on that right now. Right now is a great time to kind of play with some of your footwork options, you know, some of those patterns, hopping forward and backward and side to side and kind of going out and in. Those little lunge steps, you know, some figure eights. I would even credit that as continued motion. So as many kind of reps as possible in 5 minutes, but every time you take a break, or if you trip and miss, I want you to just do 2 quick air squats and then immediately get right back into your jump rope. So I want 5 minutes of constant action. I don't want you to just take a break and take 30 seconds off, right? I want 5 minutes of constant activity. So moving on from that 5-minute warm up, we're gonna do 3 rounds of the following. So we've got 15 sumo deadlift high pulls, 10 Zotz press, and 5 stripper squats. Now, for the sumo deadlift high pulls and the Zotz press, we can do this with a band, with a white bar, with a loaded barbell. I'll let you guys kind of progress that accordingly based on what you've got. I figure more of you have more experience doing this stuff with a barbell, so I wanted to touch on anyway the band. So first up, sumo deadlift high pull. So I'm gonna get into a wide sumo stance. So well beyond my shoulders, my toes are gonna angle out that way. My knees are gonna track in line with my toes, keeping my chest in my back, or my back straight, not my chest up because I'm gonna hinge. But what we wanna do is come down and grab a band. So now, here's a little detail. I could grab this upper layer because I'm standing inside the band, but this upper layer is pretty light for my high pull. So if I want to add just a touch of weight to that high pull, I can grab the bottom band instead of the top band, and that makes my high pull a little harder. Now keep in mind, it's just a warm up, guys. I'm not worried about it being heavy, but that's just an option. So for your sumo deadlift high pull, it's going to look like this. From the side, so I am going to hinge. So I feel a pull on my hams, then squat down a little bit, my hips stay above my knees. Then as everything drives up, I'm gonna pull my elbows straight up, but close to my body, it's not out here. So my elbows are leading the way up, and my hands stay just about shoulder collar height, right, that collarbone. So 15 sumo high pulls. Then we're gonna do 10 Zotz press. So in this case, I would take both strands of the band, lock that in nice and tight, and I'm gonna have some pull apart energy while I do this. So I'm gonna take that overhead, I'm gonna come down into the bottom of my squat, so weight in the heels, knees are out, chest is up. Now I'm gonna lower the band to the back of my shirt collar, right where the back rack is, where your back squat bar would go, and then I'm gonna press to locked elbows. Tap that shirt collar, boom, press to locked elbows. So I'm gonna stay down in my squat while I press 10 times. So 10 Zotz press. That would look the same with the bar. I would just have a wide grip, okay? And if you wanna progress that to a loaded barbell, that's cool, if you're ready for that. And then we're gonna do 5, what we call kind of stripper squats. This is just a mobility exercise. So I'm gonna get my squat stance. So heels are shoulder width, toes are out just slightly. I'm gonna come down to the bottom of my squat. Now I'm gonna jam my fingers underneath my toes. I'm gonna keep them there. Ooh, did my voice just crack? I think it did. Must be hitting puberty. Okay, so from the bottom of your squat, and notice I'm pulling my chest up nice and tall, so mobility position. Now keeping my hands under my toes, I'm gonna shoot my butt up in the air, get my legs as straight as I can and hang my head. Hold here for a second, that was 1 rep. Back down, chest up, looking forward. And then hips up, kind of looking through the legs, there's 2. So I'm gonna do 5 of each of those, okay? And that's just meant to mobilize our squat, guys. We definitely need good mobility in our squat today to make the overhead squat happen later. So 3 rounds, 15 sumo deadlift high pulls, 10 Zotz press, 5 stripper squats. Then we need to get into our metcon, which I'm excited about because it's got snatches and overhead squats and double unders. Some of those things are in my wheelhouse, so therefore I like them more than thrusters anyway. So 2 moves with the same dumbbell. Snatch, overhead squat. So let's touch on the snatch real quick. So the dumbbell is going to be right between my feet. My feet are about shoulder width. I'm going to come down and get a good grip on that thing. I like doing a neutral grip when I do dumbbell snatches. So with a barbell, we would be forced to do an overhand grip. So with the dumbbell, I have the freedom to do this, and that gives me just some comfort on like the shoulder and elbow and wrist, and it allows me to punch out to a neutral position at the top as well. The free hand, guys, has to be clear. You're not allowed to grab your leg or post on yourself. It's got to stay, open. So from here, I'm gonna drive up, pull this thing up the front of my body, and then basically press it out overhead to full extension. So I have extended knees and hips and shoulder and elbow. Then I come right back down, tap the ground, right back up. So from the side, boom. You can see my free hand is staying clear. I'm in this kind of deadlift position we touched on earlier with the sumo deadlift high pull. So hips are above knees, flat back of course. And then I get my hips violently open and pull this thing up the front of my body. So that's your dumbbell snatch. Now, upon doing the last snatch, you're actually going to want to stay locked out and go right into your overhead squat. So boom, let's say that's my last snatch on this arm. Now I'm going to stay locked out on the arm, and I'm going to sit back and down, below parallel of course, and then stand all the way back up. Now notice my free hand is kind of pointing to the camera here. That is just a balance thing, guys. So from the side, this might look like this, but a lot of my focus is on where this arm is up top. Keeping that straight, and I'm keeping it close to my spine. So I'm not letting it drift out here, because if I do that, that thing's gonna fall quickly. So position of that arm is super important. So for the metcon, and then we've got double unders, of course. So the metcon is 6 rounds every 2 minutes. So we need a 2-minute clock that resets every 2 minutes, or you just need to keep track of 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. So in that 2 minutes, I want you to do 5 snatches on one side, then 5 overhead squats on the same side. Notice I didn't switch arms. Then switch sides, 5 snatches, then 5 overhead squats, immediately followed by 40 double unders on your jump rope. So 2 revolutions per jump, okay? Then rest with remaining time. So let's say that whole combination of things takes 90 seconds. That means you've got about 30 seconds off to breathe and reset before you go into that next round, okay? This one isn't so tight, or isn't so spaced out, that it's like 1 minute on, 1 minute off, like many 2-minute EMOMs are. It's gonna be a little bit tighter than that. So be pretty steady on the gas to make sure you aren't cutting it too close. So again, 6 rounds every 2 minutes, 5 right arm snatches, 5 right arm overhead squats, 5 left arm snatches, 5 left arm overhead squats, 40 double unders, rest with remaining time. Now, if you don't have double unders, I'm gonna give you 2 options. Option 1 is scale to 80 single unders, 80 single unders. The other option would be 12 squat thrusts. Okay, that's maybe if you just don't have a jump rope, or you're maybe on jump rope restriction for some reason. Okay, so that's your metcon. Then, let's cash out with some core work. Woo, I'm tired just from like coaching that. So 3 rounds. We're gonna do 10 per side, reclined twists. So here's our reclined position, right? It's kind of like we're at the beach, we're watching the, people playing in the surf or whatever. So I'm propped up on my forearms here. My legs are straight. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna lift your left leg, and we're also gonna reach to it with our right arm, and then we lay everything back down. So we're kind of synchronizing those 2 things. But I am touching that elbow back down and that leg back down. So I'm gonna do 10 on that side, and then I'm gonna do 10 on this side. So through this action, if you watch my midsection, I'm open right now, and then I'm closing it. Opening, closing. So 10 on one side, then 10 on the other. And then I'm gonna try some spider crunches. So spider crunch is similar to a Brazilian crunch, but we aren't doing things in opposition. So the right knee will go to the right arm, and the left knee will go to the left arm. So I'm in a front plank from my elbows. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my left knee to the outside, and I'm gonna crunch forward and touch it to my left tricep or elbow. And then of course the right side goes. So this one I'm looking for 16 total, or 8 per side. Okay, so for those of you that struggle with Brazilian crunches where you come inside and it's that tighter space, the spider crunch might be easier for you because you just have more clearances, right? Like your stomach's maybe in the way, your hip mobility isn't as high of a demand on that version. So you might have more success there and get a feel for closing the distance on the spider crunch. So that can be a beneficial alternative. So cashing out with core work, 3 rounds, 10 per side reclined twists, and then 8 per side spider crunches. So give that one a shot today, guys. Hopefully you like that metcon as much as I do. I love those movements. You know, scale things as needed, of course. Make it your own journey. Scale the reps, scale the time domain, scale the weight, whatever you need to get it done and be appropriate for you today. But stay safe with your fitness, guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.